He is back from his whirlwind tour of Asia. Today, our money coach is here with some lessons he learned about whether or not to splurge for a guided tour for your next trip. I'm thinking maybe you can become a tour guide.
Well, 21 days in Russia, Mongolia, and China with 12 people on an adventure tour. It was something else.
Look at you.
Yeah,
you look like Indiana Jones. They called you Indy when you walked in the door.
Well, what I want to do is compare a self-guided tour with a regular tour. And remember, a couple weeks ago, I said that you could travel for 21 days in 3 countries.
Right, because you're always preaching to us about how you can go be budget conscious and see the world, but you splurge a little bit.
$2,000 to $3,000 in the self-guided ones. But this trip was way more than that. I mean, just the air travel was $2,000 each because it was around the world. Visas cost a total of $800 and compulsory travel insurance. But the bottom line is you got to compare the cost versus the cultural experience. And I think it was worth it. It was very unique. If you're looking for cultural experience, you've got to look in a couple of areas. Where you stay. If you stay in a 3-star hotel, you're going to miss out on a lot. Now, we stayed in a 3-star hotel for 5 days, but we were 8 nights on a train, which was a real challenge. The rest of the time was spent at small hotels and bed and breakfast where we interfaced with the host family.
To learn a lot.
And we got to eat meals with them and things like that. Travel. Never travel where everybody moves on a 30-person huge bus because you'll be isolated from the people.
But isn't that, I mean, if you're on the tour, don't they put you on these tour buses?
No, we did a lot of walking. We did the train. We did buses. We did mini buses, which took us around on the short trips. But the highlights were trying to figure out how to travel the subways in Moscow and Beijing. So you really get to know how to get around a town like that. And like I said, we did a lot of walking. Food. Where you eat and how you eat is a very important to understand the culture where you're going. There are McDonald's, Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Baskin Robbins, Dairy Queen. You can do that bit. I certainly wouldn't recommend it. You can follow the tour guide to tourist-type restaurants where you'll get an idea of the food, but you're eating with a bunch of tourists. Our best experience came on the last day in Beijing, where we found a working man's restaurant that had never seen a tourist before. We ordered by circling the Chinese characters in the tour book and supplementing that by handwritten characters that said no MSG and not, pretty mild kind of stuff, pointing at the beer and the soft drink, and then using hand signals to figure out what the bill was. It was an enjoyable meal, costing under $5, but the real cultural experience was seeing all the locals come in and do that.
So are you saying the bottom line is invest on the guided tour, but save money by doing things like the locals?
Right, right. You've got to, if you're going on a tour, make sure it's a tour that has plenty of free time so you can go off and do things. Our tour had a tour guide, and that was incredibly important in complicated logistic areas and where the language was difficult.
Can always come in handy. We're going to learn, I'm sure we'll hear more about this trip in the coming weeks from Scruffy. I called you Santa Claus when he walked in. Bill Stanley. If you've got a financial question for Bill, you can email him. What's your address?
MoneyCoachBill@AOL.com.
WorldTraveler@AOL.com.
Go out there and travel.
Yes,
That's the key.
Looking good, looking relaxed. Let's